So this video has been in the in my queue for a while to make. What it is my position on Chrome OS, because I've seen a lot of videos that are up in the air about it. So I'll go over the positives and negatives of the operating system. So you've got Instant On, which is essentially 8 seconds boot and instant resume. Always up to date. To my understanding, Google Chrome updates every 6 weeks. It's always speedy because you do not have to rely on local resources, which will speed up your system. Not to mention, Chrome is the fastest browser that I've ever tested personally, especially on Linux. There is no maintenance. It's essentially cloud-based upkeep. Multi-layer security, which is a ROM image. If your system is compromised, it'll load that. It's Gentoo Linux-based, and that is aimed primarily at people in the security field. It has multi-layer sandboxing, which means each individual Chrome tab is its own little event. So if that gets compromised, you don't have to worry about your other tabs. You can cache your local apps for offline use. At this point, there is only Gmail, Docs, the Gmail, Docs, oh shoot, what was it? There was something else. Oh, and Calendar. And there's also a local offline media player and I believe File Manager. There is built-in accessibility, which is you get Chrome Vox, the screen reader access for the blind. And apparently I have cached local apps on here twice. Oh. Anyway, that goes over the Gmail, Docs, Calendar, and localized media player. Now, before we get into the negatives, some of you are going to be saying, can it run Crysis? Can I do my, in my case, can I do my operating system virtualization? Because I like to test Linux in virtual machines. The answer is no. And we need to look at the market. For those of you out there that may be techies that are watching this, Chrome OS is not for us. It's for people who even the least bit of complexity throws them off. Even the least bit. They want something where they flip on a switch and it just works. It's like their car. You turn the key in the ignition to start and it just starts up and you can go wherever. And you don't have to think about it, especially if you're driving an automatic transmission. It's the same thing here with Chrome OS. Think about it as a car with an automatic transmission, and you don't have to worry about it. Or at least people think they don't have to worry about it. And I say that because, obviously if something happens, and we'll get into the negatives about this in a moment, but if something happens to your account, then, yeah. But unfortunately, many people are unknowingly giving up their security for convenience. People just want things done. They don't care how it's done, they just want it done, and many people want it done fast, now. They don't want to have to think about it. So let's get into the negatives. Reliance on the cloud. And again, we get into the business about security concerns, limited local storage. Now, for security concerns, I put use common sense. That's really with anything, If you click on something that you think is a free ad, say from Chili's or something, and it does something to your system because you honestly think it's legit, okay? That's what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, there are some out there that really need to be educated in this sort of stuff. A lot of people may not realize, they would see, oh my god, my system is infected, what do I do? And what that is a pop-up that actually contains a link to malware. It's these types of things that the user, if we go back to the positives, the user doesn't want to have to worry about, excuse me. And with Chrome OS, to my understanding, they won't have to. But are you willing to give up that control and willing to put your personal information out there for this convenience? Many people are going to say yes. You also have connection issues. Remember back in the positives, we look at cached local apps. Not every app is going to be able to do that, and you have to activate that manually. Again, we look at not being able to run power apps, such as video editors, audio editors. And again, we return to the argument that it's not necessarily for power users. There's limited terminal access via Crush, which is the Chrome shell. But beyond that, you can't really get into that unless you get into the only positive and negative, which for those of you that can see, you'll probably see what it is. But for those of you who can't, if you'll give me a moment, we'll get to that. Essentially, again, a lot of people, I honestly think a lot of people are willing to give up their privacy for something where they can just turn a key and not have to think about it. I'm not saying that's everyone. I'm saying that a fair amount of people would more than likely fall into that camp. The only positive and negative on this list is developer mode. I say that it's a positive because if you're like me and you like to test other operating systems, you can do that. It says here that you can gain more hacker-friendly features, like a full terminal and ability to run another operating system. On the negative side, you do lose some level of security. So unless you know what you're doing and you're willing to keep a lookout for these sorts of things, which again, that's not the market the Chromebooks are tailored towards. But if you are a developer and you want to give this a shot, say you want to use it as a development platform or a testing platform, you can flip that switch and you could use, say, a more complex Linux operating system on this computer. I'm curious about whether or not you'd be able to access your super key. That'd be interesting. You probably have to remap, but that's beside the point. But again, we see that there are many more positives than there are negatives. And again, look at the target market. And I'm not talking about. I already did a video on how this could benefit people who are blind. That is a very, very, very unique and very, very small market compared to the global population. They have very unique needs because their equipment costs several $1,000s, whereas our equipment in the sighted world costs several hundred. I'm talking about the general public. The general public who is not very tech savvy. I'm not saying everybody is, but those that are not very tech savvy, they just want something that turns on, and it works. And they don't want to have to think about it. They're already online most of the time anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. My thoughts? I'm certainly very excited to try it, especially from an accessibility standpoint. Will I get one? I don't know. I really don't know. If in the coming months it turns out that, because unfortunately Android seems to be a malware magnet at the moment. And I'm not saying that Chrome OS is not, but I'd like to see how the two, and when I talk about that, what I'm saying is there was a discovery found in Chrome OS, something to the effect that there's a hole in WebGL, the web graphics layer, which essentially, for those of you who are not tech savvy, it's essentially it's basically something that could make like games and whatnot run, and other stuff like that. There was a compromise in this. A very serious one. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a security bug. It's unforeseen security issues like that that make me question Chrome OS. Now, yes, I am excited about it. Yes, I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Whether or not I will personally get something, I don't know. I really don't. I'm keeping on my toes just like everybody else. If people can hear the fan, I apologize. Virus Barrier Express is doing a scan right now. But yeah, you need to look at the target market. 90% of people are not very tech savvy. I've got a friend of mine and I asked them, what operating system do you use? They didn't even know. More than likely they were running Windows. I was talking to them on their iPhone. I asked, what carrier are you with? Because actually it wasn't theirs, it was a friend of theirs. And they said, they're like, I don't know. And I said, well, look at the upper left-hand corner, AT&T. Those are the types of people that this particular operating system is catering itself towards. And there are a lot more of them than there are people that are technologically savvy and able to essentially look after themselves. I'm not saying that people that aren't tech savvy are unable to look after themselves. They certainly are. It just requires some education. But when you look at people like, are they willing to go ahead and run updates? A relative of mine, their computer has not had any updates since Windows XP Service Pack 1. It's never had any antivirus software. Why? Because they never thought to get it installed. They thought, oh, who would look at me? And I ran a scan when I finally got Avast installed on their system several years later. There were at least about a dozen compromises on the system. And the system was incredibly slow. And this was Windows, okay? Again, this is the type of person that Chrome OS is catering towards. Not the power user. We're talking about the user who, again, let's go back to the car. Somebody who they just want to get in their car, especially like, let's say if you're on a vacation. You want to get in your rental car, turn the key, and know that it runs and it can get you to your hotel or your business meeting or wherever. You don't want to have to think about it. It's the same deal here with Chrome OS and its target market. A lot of people that have been criticizing it, I think, might be people like me who are in the technology sector. A lot of people don't even, they like I said, they don't want to have to worry about this. They don't want to have to worry about upkeep. And with Chrome OS, that's what they're going to get. This was a consumer desire, so this is not just something Google put out there. This is something that most people, actually want. They don't want to have to think, they just want it to work. And it'll be interesting to see where this goes. And again, my opinion, we'll just have to wait and see. Because I really don't know how well this is going to work. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.